Now let's look at the Access to Information Act in Canada. The Act allows any Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or any person or corporation residing in Canada to request access to records of government institutions that are subject to the Access to Information Act, and that's from the Treasury Board. So, based on the Act, you as a Canadian citizen or permanent resident or person residing in Canada have the right to ask for records from the federal government or its different entities. Here's an example, or here are a few examples of organizations which fall under the Access to Information Act. So, departments and ministries of state, Department of Canadian Heritage, Department of Fisheries and Oceans, Department of National Defense, other government institutions such as the Canadian Space Agency, the Hamilton Port Authority, the Montreal Port Authority, the Nunavut Water Board, and so on. The list goes on and on. Crown corporations, and there are some exclusions, we'll talk about them. The National Capital Commission, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, those two are examples of crown corporations at the federal level. And then there are some exemptions, exclusions, and restrictions. So if under the Access to Information Act, you were to ask for information obtained in confidence from, a foreign government, well, it is likely that the organization you're dealing with will tell you, sorry, can't do. Anything pertaining to federal, provincial affairs, international affairs and defense, law enforcement and investigations, national security, police services in provinces or municipalities, all of those records will likely either be excluded or exempt from the Access to Information Act, or there will be restrictions such as we first need to clear it with a third party, which happened to me with this Victims of Communism Memorial. It took a few more months because they had to clear things with Tribute to Liberty. If you ask for records relating to ongoing investigations or audits, if you ask for information pertaining to the Secretariat of National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians dealing with, national security affairs, again, those documents are likely to be withheld. A few more examples of exemptions and exclusions. Anything which could jeopardize Canada's economic interests, personal information, third-party information is likely to be excluded. And here are two more very concrete examples. If you ask for the terms of a contract for the services of a performing artist at the National Arts Centre in Ottawa, that is likely to be a no. Likewise, you can ask CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, for information about its annual budget and decision-making process, but anything pertaining to journalistic, creative, and programming activities will be excluded. So they will not release those documents or records to you. The same goes for confidences of the Queen's Privy Council of Canada, which is a very fancy term for the federal cabinet. And here are some useful links. The first one, Access to Information Act, is the act itself. I invite you to read it. Then you have a list of access to information and privacy coordinators by institution. So that's a list of all of the organizations which have to follow the Access to Information Act. And you also have an updated, generally it's up to date, list of the coordinators. So if you have a question about, how should I file an ATIP request with the Canadian Space Agency, well, you will have the name of the coordinator and they will be able to help you out. The other one is this example I gave you earlier of the completed Access to Information Requests website, and you also have a link to the Access to Information and Privacy online request form. So it's a website with detailed instructions, and in some instances, you can actually use an online form. You might have to send an email or, mail a check and your request by mail in some cases, but the big departments like Heritage, Department of Defense, and those big ones are online, so you can just file an ATIP request using the online form.